What's up, y'all? It's 10 at 3 time at Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope everything in your world is going great. Hope you're having a happy and blessed New Year's Day here, the first day, January the 1st, 2026. Got Tom Barclay in here today. Tom,
Happy
how are
New
you?
Year, y'all. Yeah, doing great in 2026.
It's so far so good.
So far, so good.
I can tell you, and this probably shouldn't surprise anyone. You know who doesn't care how late you're up on New Year's Eve?
Who's that?
Kids. Kids.
Fair.
Kids, they don't. So we've been up building space tents and playing basketball and playing a little fetch with the dog and some Hot Wheels. We've packed quite a bit into a day of not a lot of sleep because the little guy does not have school this week, so he is at home, and we just love that. We just love that. Just every day where he's wanting to do stuff in the morning, especially on New Year's Day. But I suppose we should get used to that because my wife did let the cat out of the bag yesterday that number 2 is on the way.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. We got a baby girl coming our way in mid-May, God willing, knock on wood, all of those things. So, it really does not matter to me. It never has. Since the first was a boy, if the second had been a boy, that's a few less things to buy. So that was like the only, because you already, you're like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of boy/girl clothes. There's a lot of, hand-me-downs that work both ways. But there's some that are like, this very clearly says boy on the shirt. So now we're going to have to get a few more that say girl on the shirt. So that'll be that will be interesting. Got another nursery to build. Looking forward to all those things. And the timing could not. It could have been a lot worse. May in our world here, it's potentially flirting with a little bit of postseason baseball around that time. In an absolutely ideal world, it would be like a mid-June, mid-July birth situation. But certainly not going to complain with May. The first time we did, December. So that was. We got so got a little football going on, got a little basketball going on, still got some recruiting going on, Christmas coming up. Yeah, why not? Let's just have this right around there. So, this one, the timing of it, knock on wood, a little more fortuitous, but we're looking forward to that. Got a lot more to discuss about that over the coming months. As that's another personal saga that we're going on. So, if you think these eyes look a little puffy and a little
just you wait.
Just a little tired right now. Just you wait. You know what you should do? I've heard this for a long time. You should just wait till you're 40 to start having kids. That's what you should do. And then you should have you should be 40 or 39 when the first one's born, and then 43 when the second one's born. Fortunately, wife a good bit younger, so she can take it. But these old bones, I'm going to look like granddad. My dad, who was about 40 when my youngest brother was born, and he has always looked like his granddad. Like when the three of us would go places, it would look like granddad, father, and son. Like, no, we're brothers, and that's dad over there. Oh, really? It looks like his granddad. Yes, he does. Yes, he does look like his granddad, but that's his dad. So hopefully I can avoid looking like that. But we got a lot more to discuss on this show here. I hope all of you have made some good New Year's resolutions. I have not. I hope that you took care of your body last night, took care of the head. Hope you got some sleep if it was a long night for you. I don't do resolutions. Tom, are you a resolutions guy?
Not really, no. I typically, I see the New Year as, fresh new start and whatnot, but I don't typically set resolutions.
I agree.
Most I do is eat, my Hoppin' John and, call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm not one of these like, oh, I'm gonna be on the Peloton at least 4 days a week or at least 5 days a week, or I'm gonna do this a little better, I'm gonna do that a little better. Because I feel like if that's your motivation, like I feel like those just don't stick. It's got to be like something you really feel. And I get why people, hey, new year, new me, all these things. Although ever since we watched Veep years ago, I always think new Selena now. It just makes me laugh every time. I'm all for people who do the New Year's resolutions. I think that's good. Like whatever you need to do to motivate yourself to be the best version of yourself that you can be, for yourself, for your family, for your coworkers, for those around you, hey, I think that's great. I don't know, just not really a natural conformist. So it doesn't really, I think if I were, I'd be more likely to wake up just a random day in April and be like, I got to fix this, you know?
That's pretty much it for me too. Yeah.
You know, like,
it's a random day where you're like, you know what, we've gone too far.
yeah.
Here.
Or like,
It's
you know,
time to take some action here.
it usually hits you. There's that mirror right outside the shower. And like, I get out of it. And if you catch yourself in the wrong light, you're like, oh, no. Okay. Fewer carbs, man. A little less sugar. Let's knock the dust off that Peloton and go again. Like, you know, let's go out there and do some more yard work. Let's fix this. Or, you know, dude, is it, do you need that much bacon in your life? You know, says the guy who had a nice little 2 BLT lunch today.
Double BLT.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We all, you know, it's, and black eyed peas though, cause it's New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Not that I care. My wife does. You know, she's like, take
It's a very
this
Southern thing.
Yeah.
You know?
She's like, take this for good luck. I'm like, I mean, it's just eating a pea. Like, really? I mean, it's fine. And I'm not like opposed to black eyed peas. This is the only day I ever intentionally consume them.
Really? Not a fan of black eyed peas?
They're just like, there's so many other vegetables and legumes and things that I like better that it's never like a go-to.
It's a go-to for me. I usually keep stocked up with, you know, somewhere in the house or in the pantry or something.
Well,
a bag of them or
my wife puts chow chow on them. That's what my wife does. She puts chow chow on them. That's
I just like them salted. Just, you know.
Hey, I'm not opposed to them. I just, you know, there's so many other things that I like better. But that New Year's Day BLT every year or BLTs plural just hit just right there, and no cheese on it. No cheese on it. It's a BLT.
Is there typically cheese on a BLT?
There are some psychos out there
on that one.
who do that.
BLT, the only condiment you get to put on it is mayo.
It is. I'm not saying it's the world's like best sandwich, because I'm not qualified to speak on behalf of the world and its palate. I don't. That's
fair.
You know, like it's not. I'm not. But in my favorite sandwich in the United States for sure is the Z-Man at Joe's Barbecue in Kansas City. Shout out, fellas! If you want to send me some more sauce, you go right ahead. Just kidding. We can't take that gift, but.
You're going to upset some folks who are Memphis.
Oh no, I love Memphis.
Purists, or North Carolina folks too.
Well, barbecue. Sorry, Rick Barnes and you. Mustard. I love mustard. I love barbecue sauce.
No, I'm not
a mustard-based barbecue sauce.
South Carolinian, and that's one of the regions, one of the regional barbecues.
Oh no, I understand. I love mustard. I love barbecue sauce. I'm not opposed to it. I would just rather have regular barbecue sauce.
It's got to be the East Carolina style.
But for the Memphis people who are saying you're not giving enough love to your own state, may I add an addendum? You would be adding an addendum. Add addendum. I would say my favorite foods in this state are the pork barbecue nachos at Central Barbecue in Memphis. Shout out Central Barbecue. Love y'all. And also the banana pudding at Shuford's Smokehouse down there in Chattanooga. Those are my favorite probably in this state. So people who say, hey, why is you're a Tennessean, why is your favorite sandwich a Kansas City barbecue sandwich? I'm like, well, I got to tell you that brisket and that barbecue,
I'm with you though.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. But in terms of like my go-to everyday daily, like of their typical run-of-the-mill, like regular Joe Schmo, good deal sandwiches, to me, BLT is just number one on that list. And it's all it requires. I don't toast the bread. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, a thin bit of mayo, a little bit of salt, a significant amount of pepper. For me, that's a BLT.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like toasting bread, I just don't, the texture, it's not like my favorite. I won't turn it down, but I'm not a bread toaster.
I just skip out on the L and T and just go straight. Just a bacon.
Just a B
it's
sandwich.
A bacon sandwich.
Just a B sandwich.
No, a bacon sandwich is a thing.
I love this. I'll grow my own tomatoes. I love tomatoes, and also the lettuce is just the crunch. It's a little bit of it doesn't taste like anything. It's the satisfaction of the crunch. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But there is a lot going on today that is non-BLT related. I could just talk about BLTs for an hour. I could. You're like, hey, Wes, would you just talk about sandwiches for an hour? I'm like, an hour? Dude, I'll go 12 hours. You just give me, you put enough fuel right here in this cup. You put enough caffeine in this. Oh, I'll talk about sandwiches all day long.
10-3 the BLT with Wes Rucker.
Oh, I know. It's like
actually it rhymes, so it
yeah,
works.
it's like and we got people. We got some talented people in this building who do some of our kitchen work there in the studio. But maybe we need like a 10-3 sandwich corner, and we'll have a little segment. Basically, I'm trying to figure out a way to get paid to eat. That's what I'm trying to do here, Tom. And if you'll just go along with it and stop shaking your head at me, you could also get paid to eat. You could think about it.
The last time I got paid to eat was I still remember it like it was yesterday. You remember the cicada outbreak of was it 21?
Do I? I have a
Brudex.
I have a T-shirt that announces their reemergence tour.
Yeah, they had me go up on set. Although I guess I actually voluntarily went up on set, and Shan Smith, who used to work here, cooked up some cicada cookies, and that was the last time I was paid to eat. So it wasn't as pleasant as it sounds. Honestly.
That I gotta tell you, just off the top of the dome, doesn't sound great. I mean,
honestly, it wasn't that bad. It tasted like a good cookie with like crunchy bits in it.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
cicadas don't taste like anything. Honestly.
I mean, make something of it, right? That's hey, it's what's that like a Pumbaa and Timon there in the Lion King? Like satisfying, slimy yet satisfying.
It was no slimy. It was like I said, completely baked.
That was just the only time I could think of someone else eating something that would be
right.
disgusting because you got a kid, you think about Lion King and all these things. But yeah, no, I'm just trying to get us paid to eat, like not bugs. I'm trying to get us. But I'll wear my cicadas reemergence tour. It looks like a rock band album T-shirt. So yeah, I'll wear that one day in here for the show. You can see I'm kind of casual in here on a New Year's Day anyway. Got the hoodie on. not even bothering with the pretense of wearing a collar today. It's fine. It's no big deal. There is, by the way, just a couple of quick updates here before we move on. If you're into the college football playoff, which I imagine a lot of you watching and listening to this are, I would imagine, even though Tennessee, breaking news, not in it this year. Tennessee season is done. But there's a couple other teams whose seasons are done or about to be done a little earlier maybe than people anticipated. Last night, Miami takes care of Ohio State. Down go the Buckeyes, 24-14 at the Cotton Bowl down there in Jerry World. That's I'm going to be honest with you. That surprised me tremendously. I have going into this thing, Indiana deserved the number one seed, earned it, beat Ohio State fair and square for the Big Ten title, undefeated, all those things. But I just kind of thought, especially with that game going the way that it went, I thought things were just kind of setting up for a rematch in like a title game where Ohio State beats them. But again, it's every year we talk about this. Is that bye in the first round really a great thing? Because right now there have been two. There's one quarterfinal done and dusted. There's one that's about to be done and dusted, and we'll have two more tonight. So right now we only know one, basically two of them, because this one is about over, the second one as well. But you had the team going in off the bye last night, Ohio State, getting taken down by a Miami team that a lot of people did not think would get into the field, which also flips that whole conversation on its head about, hey, there's only a few teams in this thing that could even win it anyway. Really? Is that so? The last team, other than, of course, James Madison and, Tulane, that gets into this thing, goes on the road to beat A&M, then takes down Ohio State. You sure about that? You sure that there's only a couple teams that could win this thing? Are you sure? Do you want takebacks on that statement, world? Because I'm a little surprised. I won't say shocked, but pretty surprised. I thought, Miami could have beaten a Georgia, could have beaten an Oregon and Texas Tech. I did not have it beating Ohio State or Indiana, and it's interesting because you think about it. Miami was a team that was sort of supposed to be in this position from the outset. You buy Carson Beck, You have that freakish defensive line that Miami has. You've recruited all these guys. You've put a really good outlay out there in the portal for a couple positions. You've gone really hard, gone top of the board guys and gotten them. You're playing in the ACC, so there's not as many difficult games throughout the season. Like it's a reason why Miami was a trendy pick for a lot of people going into the season. And things work out the way they do. Miami has the couple losses that it just absolutely shouldn't have had. Doesn't even play in the ACC title game because of that weird, very stupid conference and the way that it handles its business and determines who plays who. Next year, they're not even going to have everybody in the league playing the same number of games, which is just, I got to tell you, even in a world that is increasingly stupid with college sports, I mean, that's even dumber than letting NBA draft picks who aren't born in the United States into college basketball. Like, you would think that would be the dumbest thing that we've seen lately. Nope. The ACC having a football schedule where half the teams, like some of the teams play 9, some of them play 8, really? So as if it weren't already completely illegitimate who plays at these conference title games, let's go ahead and take it all the way overboard and make it completely illegitimate. That's a great idea. You know, this whole thing's a farce. How much more of a farce? How much more farcical can the farce get? Well, let's see. You keep on raising that bar for stupidity, guys. Let's see. You know, pretty soon we'll be jumping to the moon with some of this stupidity. So that's interesting. I did not see that one going the way that it went. And then this one right here, this one I can't say it's a big surprise necessarily. I will say the way the game is playing out is a bit surprising to me. Last update I've got here is about, let's see, I'll hit the refresh again just to be sure we got this correct. It is 1:43 left in the fourth quarter. Oregon 16, Texas Tech 0. Texas Tech, that defense is tremendous. We all know that. They've spent a lot of money on that roster. We've talked about that several times on the show this year. It's a good team. It's a good team, but not playing a lot of offense today. And, of course, Oregon's not playing a tremendous amount of offense either, but it's done enough, and it's gotten some good kicking from one of my favorite names in all of college football this year, Atticus Sappington. That's just, I mean, I don't know how much better names get in sports or out of sports than Atticus Sappington. But another name you need to know today, Brandon Finney Jr., that young corner there at Oregon. I believe he's got 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery today. Pretty good outlay, pretty good performance there for a freshman. Some of those Oregon freshmen, they've had a bunch of touchdowns from freshmen this year. That team's good, and assuming that team keeps it together, which it should, because you're Oregon, you should not be getting out NIL bid for anybody because Uncle Phil's pockets are about as deep as anybody's. And, hey, that's why, you know, anytime they ask Dan Lanning about would he consider leaving Oregon for this job or that job, he'll always be like, hey, man, the grass isn't always greener. And he kind of winks when he says that because you know what he's saying? Grass ain't always greener. The money ain't always better. Oregon has some significant advantages and things that it uses to its advantage and should. But that, to me, that's 2 games from the quarterfinal, 1 done, one basically done. And both times the team that had a bye is going home. Does that mean anything for Indiana and Alabama today? Does that mean anything for Georgia and Ole Miss tonight? I don't know. But it's interesting. What's also interesting is how wet the Rose Bowl is going to be. You do not see that often. I mean, they're getting the squeegees to get some of that water away, draining that as fast as they can. Because, you know, in L.A., I'm not sure if you've ever been out there, viewers and listeners. Sometimes it doesn't rain a lot, but then sometimes when it does, it can come really quick and it can get on you. And coming off the coast there, and it can flood you. And that's a lot of water that they're dealing with in that game. Now, who would that benefit? I don't know. Off the top of my head, maybe IU a little bit, maybe a little more balance at some places on that offense. Alabama's been really oddly for Alabama, maybe not oddly in this era, but oddly when you think of what Alabama has been a lot, is pretty reliant on the pass. The run, Alabama, it does not run the, and they're still recruiting good backs. They've had some injury problems there, some other things. Line not played great at times, but I mean they've had to rely on that pass quite heavily. They're not getting a lot of big splash plays on the ground, and I don't know. I mean, I think what the line there is, last I saw was Indiana by about a touchdown. Let's see if that's still the case. That's gone up. Indiana 7.5 point favorites, which still to me, at some point, and I honestly, people say, oh, I don't mean any disrespect. I really don't mean any disrespect. I'm just saying, as a matter of fact, it's still weird to me to think of Indiana being what it is right now. It still kind of shocks the senses. So you think of like, oh, it's a Rose Bowl with Indiana, and it's an Indiana bowl game where Indiana is favored by more than a touchdown against Alabama. That just doesn't sound right. I mean, it's not wrong. It's not wrong, but it doesn't sound right. And there's a really good, I don't know if y'all saw it today, but, Nick Saban was talking about how, internally at Alabama with players, coaches, how much respect they have for that Indiana football team. But that Saban's out there on the first tee with his golfing buddies, and they're saying, oh, you ought to be whooping Indiana's tail. He's like, guys, have you watched this? Have you watched this team? Do you know what Bama's about to face here? It's fascinating. It's weird. Even like Ole Miss in the playoffs still sounds kind of interesting to me, but Indiana, what a story. I cannot, in my lifetime, let's see, I say this a lot, but I've been doing this for about, 25 years now in this business. And I think for my teens, relatively, at least for the age, relatively intelligent sports fan in terms of I didn't sleep a lot, so I was always up late watching games and, paying attention to things and looking at numbers and all this stuff. And so I've been around sports in some capacity basically my entire life. I cannot think of many, if any, college sports stories that are as shocking as Indiana football the past couple of years. I really, I think about this, Tom, even when you think of underdogs, when you think underdogs in college sports, where's the first place everybody's brain goes? NCAA tournament. Right? The Cinderella, the Cinderfella, that's what you think of. And if you're Tennessee, you immediately think of a couple of those you've taken the business end of some of those games. I guess most recently or most infamously, Loyola with Sister Jean, R.I.P., with Loyola and that team. But even in that sense, when you see things like Loyola getting to the Final Four in basketball, that's college basketball. Cinderella is Cinderella for a reason, but we all know of it as Cinderella because it happens enough that we talk about it. It happens enough. Weird things happen in that tournament because you got 350-ish teams in Division I basketball. All of them on the men's side have a maximum of 13 scholarships, I believe. So, 350 plus teams, 13 scholarships per team. and now like an entire world basically to recruit. That's not a lot of people. And there's a lot of people, a lot of young people in the sport who play basketball. A lot. So the difference between what like a mid-major traditionally would be getting and what like a power conference team would be getting, is it significant? Well, sure. Sure. But it's not like apples and oranges. And basketball is a funny game where if you're hitting the three ball and the other team's not making shots, anything can happen. The ball bounces, goes in, goes out. You can't make a shot. The other team can't make a shot. Good player rolls an ankle. And we see this a lot in the tournament too, where there's a lot of neutral site fans in the building who just naturally want the underdog to win because that's neat. You know, if you're watching like Duke, if you don't care and you're watching Duke versus Winthrop, who doesn't want, unless you've got money on Duke, who doesn't want Winthrop to win that game? You know, you got, you know, Kentucky playing Oakland. Unless you are a fan of Kentucky or you've put money on Kentucky, you want Oakland to win that game, right? I mean, that's Tennessee Loyola. Unless you go to Tennessee or you're a fan of Tennessee or you put money on Tennessee, you want Loyola to win that game. And I've seen this in person several times where the arena starts to believe that the underdog can do it. And then it turns into a home game for that underdog. Not a true home game in the sense of playing in their home gym or playing whatever, but because it's obviously a neutral site. But the crowd energy, the vibe picks up. I've been in there. I've not seen a 116 upset in person, but I've been at a couple that it was kind of close. And even when you thought it could maybe be close, you felt that crowd really take it up a notch. So long story short, college basketball, yes, it's a great story, but we've seen that story. Something like Indiana in football? No. This doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You don't, the advantages between the traditional heavyweights and the others in football is staggering. Facility size, athleticism, nutrition, development, every resource imaginable. It's not like those teams can't win those games. Like, you know, we remember things like Michigan, Appalachian State, right? We remember these things, but they don't happen very often because it's not even remotely the same playing. It's like, it's not just apples and oranges. It's like apples and motor oil. It's not even, you could not possibly even, if you were legally blind, you would still see the difference between the two things. And so going to Indiana at a time when the Big Ten's pretty good, got to say, pretty good, and doing this, you got to be kidding me, man. And what a story. I just can't in my life really remember something in college sports that kind of feels like this, because nothing in baseball, nothing in basketball, that doesn't really shock me. I mean, Indiana football this is almost like Miracle on Ice stuff or something. Like it doesn't seem real. which of course now, you didn't have NHL, whatever players playing back then. So in that era, it felt that way. And so I just, it's still weird to sit there and watch it. And man, what a story. I'll be honest, Tom, last year, I was a doubter. There are a lot of Indiana fans who still remember this, by the way. And anytime I mention Tennessee or Indiana on social media, oh, hey, welcome back, idiot. Like, going back to last year. Because they didn't play anybody last year. That was the difference. They didn't play anybody. And they didn't still really have like a really, really, really good win. So, yes, they were doing a lot of good things. They didn't really have a good win. So that's why I said, I don't know why they're ranked as high as they are. This season, different story. This season, we got some good wins. This season, I mean, hey, they're good. Your quarterback won the Heisman Trophy for a reason. Like, you're good. You're good. So I'm really fascinated about that game. And then also, Georgia Ole Miss, also very, very, very interested to see how that goes. Pete Golding, that whole deal there, replacing Lane Kiffin. Georgia's kind of still, they're just there. And I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way, because sometimes you're like, that team's just, it's still there. What I mean in this case is that Georgia's still there, and it's still Georgia, and it still just finds a way. Like, you saw Georgia, if you're a Tennessee fan, you saw Georgia earlier this season. You saw Tennessee outplay Georgia. Full stop. Tennessee outplayed Georgia in that game. Not by like the widest margin ever. It wasn't unfair that Georgia won that game. Georgia made the plays it needed to make late, and that's why it's Georgia. It did that, and it won. But I think even most Georgia fans would tell you that Tennessee was the better team on the field that day. Kirby Smart said it immediately when the game ended. Basically, I have no idea how we won that game. Tennessee deserved to win that game. I'm glad we did, but we didn't deserve it. But what happens when you get when you stack recruiting classes and you build an identity and you have a culture where everyone is just used to finding a way? And let's not say it's just between the ears. They got talent. But they just find a way to keep going. They get better as the year goes on. And then by the end of the year, you don't want anything to do with them. And it's just, I mean, they got a lot of advantages down there. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, it's the greatest coaching job I've ever seen. No, they've got talent. It's Georgia. But they don't have what you would say is classically like an outstanding prospect of a quarterback. Again, they don't have that. In fact, they had one who was kind of like that, or seen by some as that. It's Carson Beck. He went to Miami in the offseason. They've done this with Gunnar Stockton, who still, what's interesting to me is two of the best throws that I ever remember seeing in Neyland Stadium were made by Georgia quarterbacks who were not like great prospect quarterbacks. But that throw on fourth down to Landon Humphreys that Gunnar Stockton made this season at Neyland, it's one of the most impressive throws I've ever seen in person in terms of fourth down, need it to keep the game going, you just need it. You have it, you don't get it, you lose. And it wasn't a high percentage throw by any chance. It's a really low percentage throw. It was kind of a deep corner, deep flag to a guy who was pretty well covered. And it had to be dropped in the bucket. There was the smallest window to get that ball over the defender, down into the bucket, catchable for the receiver to get a foot down in bounds. It was one of those where, like, it's not like you got to put it in a teacup, but you got to put it inside an end table. I mean, that's you've got a foot maybe to put that, 18 inches maybe. And I don't know if he can make that throw again if his life depended on it, but when he needed it at that time, he got it. And then Georgia also it got lucky when Tennessee missed a field goal it shouldn't have missed. It got lucky when Tennessee jumped off sides. It got lucky a few times, but it also just makes plays. And so that's what I mean by Georgia. It's there again. It's right there. And so, I mean, going into this thing, I would have said that Ohio State, in my mind, was the favorite. Now, I guess many more people would say Indiana or Oregon, but Georgia's right there. Now, watch Ole Miss go win that game tonight, but Georgia's right there, man. They are right there. Right there to maybe win this thing again. It's wild. It's wild. There's also some Lady Vols updates that I don't want to not discuss today, by the way, because they are playing as we are recording. It's kind of waiting to see maybe this game would start to separate a little bit so I could talk a little more definitively about it before, hey, I'm going to say this, and then by the time this podcast is over, let alone by the time, if it's downloaded later tonight, it'll already be irrelevant. But the Lady Vols do have a 62-58 lead over Florida, just a couple miles away, over there at Food City Center, where Emily Ray Cochran is covering that for us. Lady Vols had a 22-15 lead at the end of the first quarter, but or 22-12, I should say. But it's been, Florida's kind of wrestled its way back into this thing, and it's been close for the second, third, and now going into the fourth quarter with 6:27 left. So we'll see what the Lady Vols do there. That's a big one. That's the 23rd ranked Lady Vols supposed to win this game, but not like a heavy favorite. And anytime Tennessee beats Florida in anything, that's pretty neat. And I believe, let me make sure I got this right before I go ahead and say it, but that is the final now. Oregon has won 23-0 over Texas Tech. I think that's a little bit of a misnomer as to how that game really was played. It's a little closer than that. I think it's it's at one point 6-0 at the half. It's 13-0 in the fourth quarter. Pretty late on, 16-0, and then Oregon gets a touchdown like in the closing seconds, basically, to make it 23-0. But a pretty close game. And then for tonight, what's the latest there? Georgia's favored by 6 right now against Ole Miss. That seems about right. And still 7.5 for Indiana over Alabama, which I still can't quite wrap my brain around saying. Indiana favored by more than a touchdown in the Rose Bowl. It's wild to me. Hasn't been a ton that I've seen anyways of portal news today for Tennessee, by the way, in case you've been wondering about that. And I know Tom's been over there wondering about it. He's been scouring the portal.
It's true. You caught me.
Is that what you're doing over there?
No, but I was bringing up some of the games you were talking about there, the Oregon Lady Vols, all that stuff, keeping an eye on that. But you've got your iPad, so you're all good.
Yeah, I do. But now 64-60. But yeah, there's a lot. I've not seen a tremendous amount in the portal, which I guess officially did open now. So now if guys can officially go into it, so you can't just say plans to go to the portal. You can say actually, hey, he's actually in the portal, or hey, he's not. So nothing shocking from Tennessee yet. Now I imagine there will be some guys who go into that you don't want to go into it. And I feel like we're sort of like not just beating, but like massacring a dead horse to say this, but it's business. And you might not like that. And I don't blame you for that, but if it's your kid, you might be changing your tune a little bit. Now, where I feel like things have gotten dumb, and the best quote that I've seen on this so far came from John Calipari, whose Arkansas Razorbacks host Tennessee on Saturday, by the way. He went on a pretty good 3-minute rant. In fact, I thought about cutting it up to show it today because that's how good I thought it was. But went on a rant and was pretty right, in my opinion. Because the thing is, if there's one thing, not always, but pretty consistently throughout history, more often than not, you know what courts like? Precedents. They like precedent. They really like it. Somebody makes a ruling, unless they totally object to it, hey, there's precedent for this. That's the rule. Let's move this, stamp it, and move on, right? You want uniformity. You want, common sense things that most people can go by. And if you see this ruling, okay, they said that was that. That's cool. Good enough for me. Let's move on. And what can be seen for me a mile away is for the NCAA to say that if you declare for the NBA draft, even if you're taken in the NBA draft, that you can still play college basketball, but only if you weren't born in America. And their rationale being they don't control non-American players, which you do. If they want to come play in your organization, you could be born on Mars. If you want to come play in an American sports organization, they can have say over who can and who can't play. And for them to sit here and say, well, now for these non-American born players, that's a different story. This guy can play a little G League ball. He can be stashed away by an NBA team. He can go play college ball. Now, an American-born guy, you can't do that, but they can. First off, that just immediately does not pass just the initial BS test. Like, you don't even have to start sniffing to smell that. That's how bad that stinks. But when you peel back a layer of that onion, as Calipari said, and I completely agree with him, this is as close to a no as it gets, but I'll still call it a think. We talk about the difference in know and think. This is as close as I'll get to saying I know something that hasn't happened yet, because I can't say I know it because it hasn't officially happened yet. But I'm pretty darn sure it's going to go this way. You can take this to the bank. If they don't correct that, they are going to get sued by an American-born basketball player who is going to sit there and say, why is someone who was not born in this country given a right to go make potentially millions of dollars that I can't make just because I was born here? Why if these international guys can go do this, why can't I do that? Why can't I get drafted or put my name in the draft, don't get picked, and then as long as I don't play in the NBA, I can still come to college? Why are the rules more prohibitive for me as someone who was born here? I mean, I don't even think you need to be a really good lawyer to win that case. You could just go up to a jury or judge and be like, bro, come on. Do I even need to give you a PowerPoint here? Why is someone born here at a bigger disadvantage than that? And you know what's going to happen? The jury, the judge, whoever will, without even thinking, without even breaking a sweat, maybe they'd take one day because they want to get the free lunch or free dinner. Maybe. And they're going to rule against the NCAA on that. And then you're going to have guys who, as long as you've not played college basketball for 4 or 5 years, you can go play anytime you want. And even for someone as sort of naturally open-minded as I am with this stuff, I can't go there. That's just, it's dumb. And unless the NCAA is doing this out of spite, just to make a point that this is how little control they have over the situation right now, which would be a pretty gutsy, when there's petulant and then there's petulant to the point of self-defeating. And I don't know. I mean, that would lean pretty heavy for me toward the latter of those. But I just can't see how that's been allowed to happen. And you say, why am I discussing this now? Well, because it's out now. Like, that's, Baylor is going to have someone eligible to play who has not just been a professional player, but put his name in the draft and done all these other things. This guy was getting guarded by, like, LeBron a few months ago or whatever, or, you know, by pros in a summer league thing. Like this is not, it's dumb. And listen, you talk about unlimited transfers. Do I love it? No. Do I understand it? Yes. Do I have such a huge problem with it that it will affect my interest or passion for college sports? No. How about NIL stuff? Ditto. Like, that doesn't really bother me at all. I mean, I'll put this delicately, but I tend to side with labor on things. Everyday working people ought to have rights. I hope that most of us on some level would agree with that. And so, yeah, like, they ought to, you ought to be able to get what you're worth. Whatever a market determines you're worth, you should be worth that much. And when you see how much money the schools and organizations have made, thanks to the blood, sweat, tears of these athletes, I got no problem. I've said this for years. That doesn't bother me at all. Now, what you would hope is that the people who go overboard on this maybe set an example of what not to do. And so the thing kind of, in a way, corrects itself a little bit. Kind of, the market sorts itself. And I kind of doubt that will happen, though, because wherever there are people desperate to win, there are people who will financially drive themselves to ruin in that process. So that's always going to be there. That threat's always going to be there. I don't think that's going to change. But that doesn't really bother me. The unlimited transfers bothers me more than the NIL stuff does on its own. But if you're going to let coaches do whatever they want, I don't think it's fair to say players can't. So if you say, sure, coach, you can go from here to here, but you can do it once every 5 years. And then the second time you do it, you're sitting out a year. You will be paid for a year to do nothing. Who would accept those terms? Nobody. So why do we say that for a college player? Well, because we've always done it that way. That's not, I'm all for, like, practicality, but as a general rule for me, we've always done it this way. Not a sound argument. We've always done it this way. I don't want to change it. Why? Be like, hey, why do you wear your left shoe on your right foot? I don't know. I've always done it that way. Well, you could just put it on the correct foot. Yeah, but, I've always done it the other way. No. Why? And so that's not, just because we've always done it that way is not, for me anyways. Like, imagine you're trying to discipline a kid and their excuse is, well, everybody else is doing it. Or I did it this way before and you didn't, and I didn't get in trouble. Nah, not a great argument. Not a great argument. But where you start to lose me is people who have declared for the draft, people who have been drafted, people who have been drafted and played professionally coming in and playing college ball. Now, I do think there are, as long as you've not declared for the NBA draft, we have to understand that other places in the world do things differently from the way we do them. And overseas, you're kind of joining a professional club early on in your career because you don't have big time high school, college sports. It's not their thing. School is school, ball is ball. They're not the same over there. So someone who is, like Tennessee's got guys who have played, professionally in Europe or Israel or other places, but they never declared for the NBA draft. And it's not like you could just go play for your high school team there or college. It's different there. So that makes sense to me. But if you have officially put your name in the NBA draft, once you do that, done. In my mind, once you've done that, you. So I'm with Calipari on that one. I know that you could, historically, being in Knoxville, Tennessee, and saying you agree with John Calipari is not always the most popular thing to say, whether he's at Memphis or Kentucky or Arkansas. He's not a popular guy around these parts. He's one of Rick Barnes' best friends, but he ain't a popular guy in these parts. So I know traditionally or historically it's not great to say, I agree with Cal, but I mean, people talk about college sports kind of jumping the shark, and I've not been in that group. I've not, even things that I don't love, I understand, and I don't necessarily see some of them as permanent anyways. I think a temporary solution until you can find a permanent one is not the worst thing in the world. And so I've not been in that group. But now this to me is different and bad. This is like, whoa, okay, now you're jumping the shark. Now you're jumping it. They got to get that corrected. And if that doesn't change and Baylor goes and wins a national title or something this year now, boy, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to have a bunch of 30-year-old Europeans playing college basketball. And not that this kid's 30, but you know what I mean. There'd be no reason to stop. If I'm a coach and I can have 18 to 22-year-olds, or I can have some 26 to 30-year-olds, and the results of these games absolutely impact my job, my future, my finances, my legacy, dude, give me the old guys. Give me the old guys. Because they'll physically just wreck the younger guys. I just don't. And if you've seen this, if you've seen these I saw a clip the other day of a 4 or 5 star wide receiver prospect in a camp going against the Canadian Football League CFL cornerback. And the CFL cornerback just wrecked him. Not even close. So that gives you perspective on what the difference is. That's what you'd be saying. So I hope that gets adjusted. And I guess before I get out of here, I was hoping that, do we have an update here on the Lady Vols before we get out of here, Tom? They're in pretty good shape now. They're up 72-61 with 2 minutes left. So that looks like it's a little low scoring for them, but still looks like it's going to be a win for them there. So we'll see what's going on with Alabama and Indiana. That's going to start as soon as we're done here. In fact, I'll be going just a few steps to my left to go put this together and watch that. But until then, we got a lot of Tennessee basketball to talk tomorrow. We got some portal stuff to talk tomorrow. We got a lot of fun stuff, and we'll get to all of it here in about 23 hours. So happy New Year. Be safe again. We'll see you in 23 hours.